Later on, I'm going to come back and talk to you about some things that UFPJ believes are important in terms of how to resist the war. But I believe there's one thing in particular, especially as we move closer to the 2008 election, that has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. It has nothing to do with anybody but us. I believe it is most important that we do not turn on each other and hurt each other. I spoke at the Answer rally on September 15th, and I said this same thing at that rally. Now, this is not necessarily a call for unity, but it is definitely a call for non-disunity.
So why was this veteran on stage ominously warning the listening crowd not to turn on each other? I walked into Union Park and was met by two gentlemen with a lot on their mind and the will to say it. And they represented what I thought was most of the protest movement. Liberal, bleeding heart leftists that come to these marches as individuals and make their own signs, wear their own t-shirts, and make up their own chants.
Well, it affects us in a lot of ways. Families are losing other members of their family. We're spending way too much money over there. Right now it looks like that our grandchildren and probably their grandchildren are going to be paying off on this war. And we got to stop that right now. If anything, they should be raising the taxes right now. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but we need to raise the taxes. We need to pay for this thing right now and get it taken care of. It's taking way too much money away from us. The money that we spent right now, we could have already built something like 120 of the, or no, sorry, not 120, 57 of those Freedom Towers that they're building in New York. We could have built 57 of those things and still had money left over to cover all the kids in this country for health care. So it's a waste of money. We can't do that.
Insurgent or counterinsurgent. We are in a counterinsurgency. The word insurgent implies that we are occupying a foreign land. The people who are insurgents there are equivalent to those people who took Britain out of America.
I wouldn't call them insurgents so much as I would call them freedom fighters.
But very quickly, I noticed a trend. This anti-war march turned into a big public display of different groups who had different views on why they were anti-war. Students for a Democratic Society, the Woodlawn Organization for Peace, even the socialist movement were out in droves. It started to seem that nobody was any longer an individual protesting for peace, but now part of a bigger group fighting for their claim of fame on the anti-war bandwagon.
As the Green Party, was the first and the only political party that was against the war from the very beginning. We're a peace party. We prefer to work through our differences through nonviolent means. So, and we're also here to remind people of that, because I think some of the Democratic Party candidates are now, saying that they're against the war too, but they were the same people who voted it in. So we need to remind voters exactly where the Democratic Party stands and where the Green Party stands.
Well, I'm here today at this anti-war rally with a group called Jewish Voice for Peace. We're the Chicago chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace. We were formed in order to organize Jewish opposition to the Israeli occupation. And by occupation, we're talking about the Israeli occupation of the West Bank, of Gaza, and of East Jerusalem. And we're here today because although this is a rally and demonstration against the war in Iraq, we feel that it's important to raise the issue of the Israeli occupation within the context of the broader anti-war movement.
I'm here to support Ron Paul. He's a Republican candidate for president. One of the only Republicans that's been against the war in his 30 years in Congress shows that he is a non-interventionist. He wants us out of Iraq immediately, and he's also going to keep us from going into further wars with Iran. And he's a strict constitutionalist, and I'm inspired by him. I'm here to try to help other people learn about his message of freedom.
We've been here, we've been to Washington, we've been to St. Louis. We're going to be anywhere that there is a rally to speak out against this war.
Power to the people.
That's right. We'd like to see as many here as we had in Washington in 05. 350,000 were there. Nice crowd here today, but not enough. Oh, it's an illegal war. It was based on lies. It's really to steal the oil that belonged to the Iranian citizens. We have no business there.
This idea kept popping up again and again, that we were in Iraq for oil, that the powers to be decided that our best interests are to hold control over the oil and wield that power as they see fit. And no one had more to say about the subject than this man.
Mark Bailey. I'm a seminary student at Linus Theological School. The bloodshed, right now 1,095,000 Iraqi civilians have been killed, and our own Department of Defense has come out and said that 19,000 of them were insurgents. So that's a lot of innocent people dying for no good reason at all for oil. Well, we're there to secure cheap labor and cheap mineral resources for oil companies and multinational corporations. An Iraqi oil refinery worker makes $65 a month. It takes $135 a month to subsist in that economy, and George Bush is enforcing a 1987 law enacted by Saddam Hussein which forbids the unionization of their oil industry. This war isn't about Iraqi freedom, it's about American imperialism.
I'm John Rosier. I'm 73 years old. I'm from Furnessville, Indiana. It's historically been known as an international distress signal. Anyone in the world who sees anybody's flag upside down knows that they're in distress. I am in great distress over this war. We were lied to. We have no business being there whatsoever. We were lied to about who we attacked. It's one big mistake. And when we realized that, we didn't leave.
One presence that was fully felt, even during the march, was that of the police. Thousands of officers from around the area came to ensure civil order and to keep the peace. They came on foot, on bike, in vehicles, even on horses. They lined the entire way and made sure anyone who tried to cause trouble were quickly dealt with. By the end of the night, 3 arrests were made. Unfortunately, the Chicago police spokesman would not allow me to interview him, and the officers on foot were strictly ordered not to give interviews to anyone. So they became a voiceless but a very influential participant in this protest. So was this the protest that changed the world? The 5,000 people or so that gathered together to tell everyone, stop the war? I think not. Was it just another protest President Bush laughs aside while saying, look at how they're still so divided amongst themselves? Maybe so. But this protest proved something. It proved that the will of the people was strong, that the call to action is not something they fear, but something they invite. Only that call is from so many different sources, that it disorganizes and disillusions many of the people who truly feel the need to make a change. I am against the war, but why am I against the war is a question many people ask. And most seek refuge in ethnic background, political affiliations, or even the cause of children. What most don't see is that by dividing among so many groups, you effectively downgrade the ability to demonstrate. You are no longer one group versus one cause, you are many groups against several causes, all linked by the commonality of anti-Iraq.